Welcome to the town of Unionville morning or evening, our public hearing. Tonight, we're having a public hearing. The topic of which is short-term residential rental incomes. Residential rental per se. Yeah, let me get the package out. So the hearing is going to open and close before our town board meeting. And what we'll be doing tonight is hearing any comments. We have two pieces that we got in writing from folks that we can go through. We have a couple of changes that we've made to the documentation, which we'll share a little later in the meeting. But right now, since public hearings open and close with the gavel and not a motion, we're going to go ahead and get started. Everybody here, I think, do you know the town board members? So why don't we introduce ourselves so you know who we are, okay? Councilman Gibney, you want to start?
Town council. Harry Gustafson, town council.
Betsy Moss, town supervisor.
John Welsh, town board.
Kevin Durant, town council.
Great. All right. Good to meet you. Thank you for being here. I think everybody else knows everybody else. The goal of tonight's hearing is really just to take comments about short-term rentals. We're looking at instituting a policy. We sent out extensive Unionville mail talking about the laws that are hovering around in Albany and some of the things that they're trying to do. One of those bills passed the Senate and is probably going to be passing the assembly perhaps next year. So we wrote, we're kind of tracking that, and they want towns to have a registry, and if they don't have a registry, then the idea is that they want to have a statewide mandated registry. So we're trying to avoid being part of anything like that. So we came up with what we felt like was a pretty simple way to do that, focusing on the goals of just Unionville. So tonight, I think we passed all that out. We've had a letter, we've had the copy of the law, and we've had the resolution of introduction, and we announced the public hearing a month ago. So I think we're in pretty good shape to take any comments. Everyone will get a chance to speak. I don't know if you signed in to speak. If anybody did, the clerk will tell me, but if not, you'll still get a chance to speak. Everybody has 3 minutes to talk. You can't cede your time to somebody else, but we'd be delighted if you took your 3 minutes. And really, that's about it. We asked that comments be made to the board. No, okay. If you have any comments, talk to the board, or you can come up and sit here and we'll listen to you. And if there aren't any comments, we've got two that we can read and we can address those. All right. Okay. Anybody interested in speaking? Do you want to make any comments? You are, okay. David. Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Comments? Okay. We thought it might be a light crowd because we didn't get much feedback. Let me see. I have 2 comments. I have left them in my office. Hold on. Yes. Come on up. Does he needs a microphone, right? You're gonna have to go to the, if you don't mind. And then just introduce your name, yourself and your street, and then.
Hello, David Volkman, Canby Road. I know that the issue of short-term rentals is a huge one in the country these days. And I'll just say that while I think everybody should have the right to do what they want to with their property, I've had many bad experiences with short-term rentals. And again, I don't want to say people shouldn't be allowed to do them, but I think guidelines are really important. So I'm interested in to see how this progresses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think I left my folder and I'm gonna get the 2 comments. I'll be right back. Okay.
Who's a lost person that we help here? Anybody? I can't reach my moth. This is not a moth, it's inside. I'm gonna go for a bad one for a good one.
There are,
Why don't we take a look at it?
there's Alfredo, there are no good moths.
I can't hear you. What?
There's no such thing as good moth. You either eat your trees or you eat your clothes.
Right, so take your pick.
Come on.
They're all there.
There's gotta be some good ones.
No way.
You
Nope.
are not helpful.
Do you want us to Google it for you?
What?
You want us to Google and see if we can figure out what it is?
Yeah, I'm afraid it'll fly out though. This is when you take a picture and they tell you what it is.
Well, we'll take a picture and then
Yeah, but it
we'll
will
look
fly
at
out.
it and then we'll Google local laws.
Eating like trees.
Yeah.
It's not brown.
Gypsy moms.
Probably it's a gypsy.
What's that?
I've never
So
seen
like
it.
the town hall. on the-
Let it go, let it go.
Oh, it is
It
really.
was, they were starting. to-
Okay, let's
Yeah,
get
yeah,
this
yeah.
back on track. A lot of business to take care of tonight. We have two comments. The quick one was from Glenn Morrison, which I think George and I had already dealt with on the form, but Glenn Morrison had written that he thought that he was wondering if the topic of fireworks and noise had been considered. It might be wise to add something to this package, which is the one that's been distributed. He asked that it might be wise to add to that, yes, it's some, he said, quote, is prohibition of fireworks communicated to renters in writing and enforced? And have renters been advised to keep noise to a level that is less than 50 decibels and not objectionable to nearby residents, especially between the hours of 8 PM and 7 AM. And then he says he understands there are many requirements that need to be compiled, but he mentioned two items because they're more common when people are on vacation and are impacted. And I think George had very specific feelings about code requirements since he's a code enforcement officer. And so I think we've already taken care of his thoughts there, which we'll share with you. Also, we got an email from Jonah Ritter, and he is on South Parliament. I wish to submit my remarks in writing to the board concerning the amendment of the Town Code, Chapter 210, Article 5, and specifically the proposed new section entitled short-term rentals. This code amendment directly concerns me since approximately 4 years ago, I renovated my barn to make an accessory building / apartment so that we could take in and care for my mother. My mother passed away this March. I'm eternally grateful to have had the opportunity to provide for mom here at our property. As a result of the improvements we made to accommodate my mother, the cost of living at our home rose dramatically. Taxes, insurance, utilities, etc., all increased significantly. My wife and I have no choice but to rent the cottage that mom lived in order to cover our living expenses. The alternative would be to sell our home, but we don't want to leave. I reviewed the proposed code changes and think they are reasonable. I hope that once a permit is granted, that the renewal will be at a lower rate, and that a new form is not required if the resident doesn't let the original permit lapse. Please make the renewal process very simple for both the resident and the town. Thank you for considering this matter and making sincere attempts not to overburden either residents or the town with oversight and regulations. Jonah River. Those were two comments that we received. And those would be, if anybody else has anything to say to add to those. Okay,
Talk that.
with this is,
Yeah, we talked about it.
well, this will also, it's on the agenda, so we'll be talking about it later in the meeting, but not in the public hearing.
Yeah.
All right, so, you're gonna stick around, I hope, David, okay, good, because it is on the agenda, so they'll, things come to, more will be coming up. But the idea of the public hearing is really to welcome the public and hear solicit comments, and we listen. And then, some of these things you'll see have already been dealt with in the forms. But we'll get back to this on the, new business, I think, or probably old business. All right, if nobody else has anything to add or to say, final call for any resident to speak. All right, then I think it's time to close the hearing. Consider this hearing closed. And at this time, we can move right into the town board meeting unless anybody collects something from their office or go somewhere. No? Okay. 7:30. All right, if everybody would please join me in saluting to the flag. Our public hearing is over and we would begin this immediately after. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everyone, please be seated. Thank you. All right, this is a regular town board meeting, and I'd like to call it to order and also ask the town board to approve the minutes for May 17th, June
June 2nd.
21st,
Oh, June 21st.
and
Yeah.
July 12th.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes as written.
Okay, they're all in everybody's package, and then you got them earlier.
You got
So
them emailed.
is there a second?
I second that.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes?
I,
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you for that. But now I'm gonna give a town supervisor report. The first thing is, it's important. I got a few things to go over. Number one, we got our audit today, our big extent, the general fund, highway fund, all the big audits, and it's in your mailbox
Ted Eglin?
from Ted.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
from our CPA. So our CPA came in, we met this morning, he brought all the booklets for you all, and, we had a very strong audit. Every year we've had a good audit, and this year, was no different. We're just, we do a good job of, every one of our departments, as you guys heard before, did a very good job in 2022 of managing well. So we had some, good, income that stayed that we might not have been expecting. Now with interest rates up, I think I noticed in the town report, we're 543% up on our interest income from investments. So this year, we're gonna have a big year as well.
Great.
So anyway, look at this. There's lots of, footnotes, but it is even better than last year by a few percentages. So that's very good. We also got our cash audits that you guys were emailed earlier, a couple months ago, for each one of the departments for, that he checks and double checks all the bank balances and all that stuff. And he always writes us and asks for extra reports. He wants to see things he doesn't always ask for the same thing. So, but all those came out well. The big town supervisor books audits, excellent. So we're doing well there, and I'm glad to have all the audits completed. And we usually do it at the same time every year because it takes a while. The next thing I wanted to talk about was NYMER. Now, if you could, hey, Tom, how are you? Good evening. Would you pass those two down? Pass those two down. This comes in, this is just their annual report. I just want to make sure we highlight NYMER a little bit, because I find that they also are workers' comp, which is Comp Alliance, is a subsidiary of NYMER. And this is a very, very strong, very good insurance company, and I'm very pleased to be with them. But I did want to mention that even with Comp Alliance, after we had our own issue with the workers' comp, if you guys recall, those of you that were here, or John, you certainly remember we had a problem getting out of the county's plan. There's absolutely no comparison between Comp Alliance, NYMER, and the county's workers' comp, because they constantly send safety bulletins and all this. And now we're working on cybersecurity. So the big thing is, and I want to give everybody a heads up because our budget process starts next month. But one of the things that they're all over, they have, and I think all major insurance companies have done this. And I heard down in Westchester that it's become very expensive, but they've unbundled cyber security insurance. They've separated out. It's not included in your regular policy. You have to buy it.
That's a separate policy, so it's more money.
It has to cost more money. Their reinsurance carriers will not do it anymore under a bundle policy because there have been so many hacks and problems. So we started looking at this earlier, and when the IT fellows were here, I've got a series of questions to give them. We have to do things that we should probably talk about in an executive session. So, it's on the public, but the public does need to know that we will spend a little bit more on our cyber insurance, which we're getting quotes for, and that we're going to be, very well protected, as I feel like we are now. But there's new things that come up that we're going to have to do that everybody is maybe used to in dealing with some corporations, but we have to make sure the town is up to that same level. So I haven't got the dollars and cents yet. But I know it's coming. We're in the middle of completing our statement of values, and I wanted to pass this over. Ed, I think I emailed this to you, but I'm giving you a hard copy so that we can, if you don't mind taking a look at that. Those are for trucks and things. You and I will talk about that ourselves a little bit later. We filled out our new insurance application with them. So we will have, I hope by the next meeting, quotes on the cyber stuff and for next year. Okay, but right now we're just also compiling all of our assets. We do a capital asset list every single year, which is extensive. We are one of the things you guys have copies of. Now, we talked about this in our work session. Talking fast so that we can get through it. In our work session, we talked about, and we've written memos before for, oh, that's for Ed. Is that for Ed?
This is my copy.
Oh,
I just gave you.
I did that one for everybody. I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't need to go.
Yeah.
You can if you want, but it's going to change because one of the trucks is wrong,
All
stuff like that. So the environmental resource overlay, we talked about it in the work session. This is one of the things, one of the 4 projects that the Conservation Advisory Council is going to work on for us. This was already done by a fellow that worked for Hudson, that estuary, and then he moved on to the Dutchess Land Conservancy. He did this for us for free. It is one of the 4 things mentioned in our master plan from 2002 that was never done. And we don't know why it wasn't done, but I'm gonna just suggest, I reviewed it. And I remember I said we should all talk about it tonight, but I don't think there's still some, I have some unanswered questions and I want to talk to them about. I mean, there's one typo, that's nothing, but this is a tool for the planning board. So that they can, when they get applications, they can look up some of these. And this, it will become an appendix on the master plan. But we need the full blown size of the maps. Which, you know, can be folded and put in here, so you don't have the full map in there yet, because I don't have that. We're gonna have to get those. And then we're gonna have to really work with Pat and the planning board on how they're gonna use it, when they're gonna use it, commit that in writing, and that'll be part of the appendix that gets written up for the master plan. But at least if you read the introduction and the methods, you'll feel comfortable with why it's there and what we're doing. And how we're gonna use it. And a lot of this is using existing information. The last piece that I wanted to mention is the appendix. There's one appendix in the back. I believe there's only A. And basically, this is a list of historic and cultural resources. And we have our new historical society that's now gotten together, and we have officers in that historical society. And they were also going to be looking at the list of historic and cultural resources and come to the town board with a separate list for us to vote on. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them to review this list. Make sure that they're in agreement. There may be things they want to add to it, so that should be added to vote list, you know. So anyway, there's a little bit more work that needs to be done to this, and then it'll be ready for us to vote on. So I guess familiarize yourself with all the rest of the language, and then we'll get it buttoned up. And if you see anything on here that needs to be added, you know, let me know and I'll add it and pass it on. But I think right now we need full maps, and we need the historical society to look at the cultural and historic resources. And let's all get on the same page about what we think they are, and then the stuff will move forward pretty rapidly.
Okay, what happened to the maps we used to have on display in town?
The NRI maps, the newer ones.
Yeah.
They're in, I know they're in the closet, but also
Did we redisplay them because?
we haven't displayed maps in here for years. They were on that little thing that kept falling apart. They were hanging on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they moved them because it kept breaking.
but there was other maps too we had here that disappeared.
Oh, the big one there's hanging on the hall up there,
Okay,
the pretty one. But I'll tell you what the CAC's gotten from Lolita Malik and some of those folks. Oh, and Frida, I think, had some hiding in her house. The scenic roads maps, they have
Good.
those.
Okay.
So what they're gonna do, they're looking at that and they're gonna compile that list. And if that list works for us, then we'll have that one there.
good, okay,
You know, so but most of them, like some of them we redeployed in the hallway there.
all right.
They were leaned up here and they were getting dusty and nobody,
Okay.
yeah, they were all piled on top of each other. All right, so environmental overlay, please take a look at that and then we'll follow up on what needs to be done with that. And I think let's review it later. And really, that's, I mean, we've gonna move through the agenda a little bit more. We've got more things to talk about later, so I'm not gonna be covered as far as financial reports. The tax collection report is not, as far as I know, closed yet, and so I don't have all that information. We usually do have it by now. I don't yet, but we do know that there were $11,685 in penalties, which I read off to you guys every July typically. They give you the rundown. It looks like 95% of our tax bills were collected. Our budget, but we were assuming that we might have $9,000 in penalties, so it's a little bit more. So more people, a few extra people paid later than normal, and we don't know why. Sometimes that's an economic indicator for me. Anyway, I haven't gotten a breakdown yet as far as how much is cash, check, and credit cards, but that's always a number that we look at every year. So when we get that breakdown and we close the books off completely, those will be interesting things for us to take a look at. As far as cash flow, everybody has that. We were at 108% of our revenue, And we were at 97%. We came back down after being up 101% last month. So we're under our budgeted expenses, which is always good.
Mhm.
So cash flow looks good. Our cash balances are, we haven't spent everything yet. But we have in the general fund, $3,893,877. And in the highway fund, it's $566,419. And that includes reserve funds, that includes, all the money we put aside that this can't, includes the ARPA money, and it includes everything. All right, and that's really about it. We got a report from Bus Patrol, remember that?
Oh,
The
yeah,
Safety,
yeah,
Yeah.
we got $77.50 in fines.
that's it.
Well, that was,
Better.
that's
That's
for
a
a couple
year.
months.
Yeah.
No, I'll go back and look at the whole year. I think we got them, and we got abstracts for the month. If anybody needs the abstracts of audited claims, so if anybody wants to see the bills we paid, we have that listed. We have a full package of all the financials. If anybody wants to see them, we're more than happy to give it to you. And that's it for me. I think at this point, I would ask if any board members would like to make reports. I'll start with Councilman Gusikoff.
I'd like to report on our great purchase with our highway superintendent on the plow truck. So the Oshkosh truck. So the second truck that Mr. Kading declared as a parts truck is now going to become a town plow truck. We're in the process of renovations and getting that fit to fit our equipment on there. And we're planning on getting it back as soon as possible so we can get it fitted with all the other equipment, because the summertime goes pretty quickly and we want to get there with ample time so you're ready and able to go as soon as this winter sets in. So
Find anything bad?
bad? The whole
Bad.
thing is bad.
Bad.
Yeah. No, nothing that's
Nothing that.
out of the ordinary. So it'll be perfect. So thank you. I think it's a great great thing for the town.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice that you're.
Yeah, very nice, thanks.
Yeah.
No,
No, we appreciate
taking
it.
control.
Yeah.
Resolving
Mhm.
an issue for us.
Yeah, that's fine. We're lucky.
Yeah,
Councilman McGivney.
Just like to remind residents of community night coming up this Saturday, fireworks, we're gonna have town departments outside, so people can meet and greet the individuals that work here in town, and it should be a good night.
Weather looks good.
Yeah, they were saying possible shower, 30%.
Yeah, I just checked it out a lot. Nothing now. Yeah.
Good.
Oh, good. Councilman Derlo.
I don't have much soccer here. Just gonna say something about that, but
You're gonna help us a lot on that environmental overlay and those things, right?
That's right.
It's right up your bailiwick, and then the three behind it that are coming, you're teamed up with those,
yes.
so it's coming your way. Thank you. Councilman Welch.
I've been battling the weather for a while, so I've kind of covered up with that stuff.
Yeah, that was been incredible.
Too much rain.
And thank you to the highway department, I have to say,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys.
Thanks,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So I'll just tell all of you a funny story. So Sunday morning, 6:05, I get that tornado warning. Do you all get a tornado warning?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm on the phone with Ed 2 minutes later. He's already driven all the town roads because of all the rain. So he's already driven. So we had this long conversation about this and that and things that had happened. And then I hung up with him and I called Jake. And I said, Jake, what's going on in Time Warner? And he said, it's Sunday. And I went, oh, God. I'm sorry, Jake. I had to apologize to Jake. And here we were on the phone for, Ed's covered all the roads and everything. Jake's down in Beacon, and I woke him up and I had to apologize, which I certainly did, but you got a lot done in a short amount of time. Found some new discoveries I'm sure you'll tell us about tonight, but your crew did a wonderful job. I took some good pictures of Sealy. We'll talk about that too, right? Okay. Anyway, thank you for that. You did a great job.
A lot of flooding too. It was kind of a double whammy with those two storms in a short period of time.
Yeah, 2 Sundays in a row.
Fire department was busy pumping.
Lot of basements.
That first Sunday, and then Monday, not as much, but people were still.
Yeah, people weren't finding it till Monday, Sunday.
Yeah, we're working with the county to figure out how much if we qualify, if it all works out for us, and then if the homeowners are gonna see.
Yeah, I guess it may encourage residents to report.
Yeah, we
to
do.
the county, any loss or any problems they encounter.
Yes.
The county's trying to tabulate everything that.
They do. Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna make it. I will say that we had one road washout that Ed will talk about, but then Pauling, for example, had 12. They lost 12 roads, I mean, like half of them couldn't cut off. I mean, really bad. Yeah, really bad. So, I mean, the county could get to the dollar amount that we need to qualify for FEMA aid, but I don't, they were kind of doubtful the other day, but maybe. All right, well, thank you very much for those reports. Now we'll turn right to the highway superintendent and extend this.
All right, so as everybody knows, on 9th of July, we had a pretty dramatic storm in my area where I live. I measured 10 inches of rain. That's almost a biblical storm, but I didn't see anybody building any arcs, so we're not that close. As far as road damage, totally lost Sealy Road, basically from one end to the other, which is about 1.5 miles of dirt road. That road has several residents that were basically trapped in their homes, they couldn't get out. So our main focus Monday morning, when we discovered that, because I checked all the roads late Sunday evening and everything looked good. But Monday morning, it was pretty bad. So we focused mainly on sealing to get the residents so that they could get out and emergency vehicles could get in. Before we started sealing, we did make sure that all the other roads were passable. And then we focused on sealing. We started on sealing at around 11 o'clock on Monday morning. And by 4:30 Monday afternoon, it was passable. We were pretty fortunate. We had a local excavation company loan us a bulldozer. So we thank them. The town of Washington has given us a road grader, so we thank the town of Washington. Other roads that are still being worked on, and there is quite a list. We have West Clove Mountain we're still dealing with. Highview Road has a few washouts, Bloomer Road, Riley Road, Wisman Road, Robinwood, and multiple others. My biggest concern with these two storms that were kind of back to back, because we lost Sealy again after we repaired it last week, we lost it again Monday or Sunday night, is that some of this damage from these terrific storms will not show up, possibly for another 2 months. You're going to find a lake in the road, a sinkhole. If you see any of that, call the department so we can take care of it as quickly as possible. But the other side of it is, I am not, and my crew are not whipping boys for people that's driveways have washed out, their cross pipes are plugged. It's not our responsibility to clean your pipes. It's not our responsibility to fix your driveway. We had horrific storms, and I got a lot of calls from a lot of irate people that said our road washed out their driveway. Fact of the matter is, the rain washed out your driveway, and it's your driveway. So that's it.
Okay.
Other than that, we've been, before the storms, we've been mowing. As you know, our blacktopping projects are complete. So we've been working on shouldering the new blacktop so we don't lose it. And now we're dealing with the storm damage.
Yep. Okay. It's a lot. Thank you. Town clerk report.
August 1st is the beginning of license sales for sportsmen. So we'll be selling those beginning August 1st. If you have any questions, call me or call DEC.
Great. Thank you very much. August 1. Okay, any public comments on agenda items? No. Okay, hearing none, we're going to go right into departmental reports and Mr. Gosnell, would you like to join us? And then we're going to have our you're going to give the parks report, and then I think what we'll do is have our engineer Tom Harvey come up and join us, and we're going to go through some soccer field designs that he's worked hard on.
And again, it's just touching on lots of rain. We lucked out a lot in the parks. We got really lucky.
Go ahead.
So I mean, yeah, I can't say too much about that. I mean, it's killing us for mowing It's a little bit shaggy out there. Just ask people to be patient. Betsy put it on here already. The filter tank for the pool showed up on Monday.
Finally, good.
Finally, is correct. It looks really good. It is stored in the barn right now. Because, in order to do that project, we're gonna have to do a lot of work and the pool would be down. We don't want that. And everything is,
Can you wait till September?
yeah, fall or spring or something. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but,
In September, we have those 3 big events.
Yeah, but that's early in September. We don't need the pool after Labor Day.
Right, yeah.
The grass is gonna be growing.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We are halfway, I'm sure Maggie will put this in her recreation report too, but we're halfway through camp at the end of this week. We've done 4 weeks. There's another 4 weeks left and I just want to thank my staff again. I think they're doing a really, really awesome job. Things have been going super well. And then, yeah, just community night, Saturday night. So hope everybody comes.
Very fun.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
so
what I've got.
I think this is the moment we were gonna take a bit of a pause and have Tom come up and join us, and we can use the board here. Oh, you have individual? Okay, great. So why don't we pull up one more chair? Somebody can help us with that. Tom, come on up and,
Bring one.
are we using, Zoom?
Yeah. it's a
But not to share screen. Great. Just-
Take one. So I can do an extra one here. There's packets of 3 layouts each. If you each want to take one and pass it, there should be enough for every time.
I think Kevin's still got 2. Yeah.
Nice, get everybody.
Wait a minute, we need one more.
Got one more here. I can offer.
Thank you.
So I had to do some learning about what Gaelic soccer or football was and what the field was. So you can see on that first page, I'm kind of showing you what the field is, which from what I can find, there's a range of sizes. So there's like a minimum size and a maximum size. And even the minimum size of this field is bigger than a soccer field. So I wanted to make that clear as I went to go lay this out. It was a tight fit. It was a tough fit. So we tried it a couple different ways. The first sheet shows sort of alternate 1, and it shows both fields, with the smaller one being the dash field. So you can see that the minimum size, the dash field inside the larger. There's a lot of different ways to try to configure it there, but like the first layout feels like it's very close to buildings. You don't really want the field that close to buildings. Something overruns out of bounds. You don't want them cracking into the building. You don't want the balls bouncing off the building and causing damage. Didn't do any drainage or grading on this yet because I didn't really feel like any of these layouts or these positionings of the field really worked well. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys, think about if there's other options, other spaces for these fields, or just see if you're willing to do this much grading. Because I think the biggest thing is the grading. You see like a lot of the corners and a lot of these options kind of get into the hills and into the banks. And from everything I can learn about this, you're supposed to grade this similar to a soccer field, which typically you don't want a 1% crown unless you got really good sand and really good drainage. You want more like a 1.5 to 2% almost cross slope, like you would grade a road, but you need that to drain off because it's not as smooth as you would. So we've showed some grading concepts, or I have a grading concept for one more alternative. Because Betsy made a comment that, and this was how I was originally thinking it, that we might want to take this and really make it more parallel to Bristol. So if I can keep one, again, you guys want to take one and hand it. This is alternate 4. Betsy hasn't seen it yet, but since we had a conversation, I thought we should try what you were talking about and see how.
Yeah, I think that came up at one of our last discussions.
Yep, so I'll wait for those to go around and we can talk about that a little bit. I still feel like it's kind of cutting into the banks and real close to the building, especially the long barn over here. I don't still really feel like it works. I mean, you've got steep grading along the edges. We've cut into the hill on the Brosville side and on the Duncan Road side. And I think we're making it hard to get into the long barn.
I think the second one on your first, the second page.
You like the second one?
I
a little
like,
bit better?
I think that
Okay.
interferes the least with everything with the grading,
Yeah,
more so than all the other plans.
yeah, I think so too.
Seems like it fits better.
Is that a Gaelic, is that the full
Yeah.
size?
That's a small one.
Right.
They're all, only the first sheet shows the.
Oh,
the
this
full
is
size.
this, what's
But
that?
and that's why I
This is
think I want to
Oh.
understand more from the football people. Is that still regulation? I mean, all the information says that you have this range of sizes, so I think it's still regulation. But I think we want to make sure of that, if that's how they want to use it. It's key to meet regulation. Whoever does this,
Yeah, the
it'd
first
be
one.
nice to have a conversation with them to make sure
Oh, and the fourth, yes.
what meets their regulations.
Recreational, right?
Well, I think
think so.
Recreational is the side.
Jake, didn't they-
Well, then.
I think so. And the minimum size may well meet regulation, but I don't think we're fitting anything bigger than the minimum size. I mean,
Really? So that, one of the things they did say to us was that there are only 2 full-size Gaelic fields in a very vast area. They were hoping, and remember, they're not gonna build in any permanents as far as lines or anything like that. I mean, goals move, everything moves. But they were hoping that we would have enough room so it could be one of the 3rd full-size Gaelic field in 150 miles, because that's how far they're traveling all the time, because these fields are.
I think it would be good to get that feedback, and I know we've done a lot of work with survey and stuff here. But I didn't do it yet, but we could try potentially pull some aerials of the existing soccer field down the road.
I was gonna
and
say
see
they're
if it
bigger.
fits better there.
Yeah, I think they're bigger.
I mean, it's
You
at
mean-
least better shape to fit this
mean
regulation.
up there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I do know that the one up top is, the width it is right now is almost maxed out. If you go any wider with it, you're gonna have to basically lose
the parking
the
lot.
parking
into
lot and
the trees
everything.
or something.
Yeah, because the slope comes right down to the parking lot, and the field itself almost comes right to that slope. So
So
I
these
I
are
just
still a
don't-
little wider than a typical soccer.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
So I just don't know,
So you said the dotted line on the front page, that is.
yeah, and then all the rest of the layout only use the minimum size.
Yeah.
So the front page is the only one that even shows the full size.
Yeah.
field.
So the front page,
Yeah, that really,
yeah,
it's right up against the building, almost to the long one.
Yeah,
I want to really show you guys, I went through a lot of different iterations and tries of this before I came in saying, I don't think it worked well.
yeah, I mean, when Tom and I had pulled some tapes, I knew it was big. In that space.
it is really
huge.
big. How much bigger is it than a regulation American or?
Well, a soccer field is 360 feet long, this is a minimum 427.
And what was that, 475?
Right, the full size would be over 100 feet bigger than a soccer field.
How many Gaelic football clubs do we have in town or residents that play
Yeah.
Gaelic football?
Yeah, what's the real motivation?
Yeah.
There are biggest facility rental people.
Bigger than balloon festival?
What do they use
Oh, yeah,
now?
yeah. As
They
far-
use just this open field or soccer field, or
They
what do
use-
they use now?
They're using
use
the small soccer field down here,
Okay,
because that's not even a full-size soccer
But
field.
the-
no, it didn't look like it.
But the park's also for the residents. I mean, I know rental's big. But,
I mean, we have a lot of residents who are part of the
Yeah.
GAA, the Dutchess County GAA.
It's very popular, but also Kevin, it wouldn't, like, it would just look like a green field. I mean, it would just be open most of the time, and then they
Yeah,
bring
you
out,
guys have multi-use of it.
Yeah, it's
Soccer field,
multi-use. They-
You can still set up.
there's nothing permanent there. They just bring out
We're
the,
gonna spend a lot of money in drainage and leveling and all that.
It's a lot of grading.
Just saying.
yeah.
And I haven't really got into drainage yet, because I do want to talk about the drainage a little, because you got a big pipe coming across Broston. And you got a big pipe coming across Duncan. And those are both dumping into this area. And I'm talking like
Area too.
36, 24-inch pipe, big pipes.
Yeah.
So that you want at least a 36-inch pipe to get it out. So any piping you do is gonna be expensive.
And you already have a cooling down there when it rains heavy, so. there's-
We do what we could with surface drainage and swales, but ultimately we gotta tie in. The only good way out of this field is through the existing pipe,
So, I
which is
mean,
questionable condition.
so if we focused on the smaller size, we still, I guess. I'm not, but we still have a drainage problem down here regardless, so
Yeah.
we've got to figure that out, and then if the smaller size works and they're using it today. And they would continue to use it, then we'd have, maybe we have to go back and look at how we're gonna solve that drainage problem.
Right, and I mean, that's something that can be done. It's just gonna cost money and time to do the work. But we kind of gotta figure out how we want to configure the field before we go with the drainage design.
Right.
Because how we grade the field and everything
Yeah.
kind of dictate how we define that range.
But ideally, we want to make this field usable.
Yeah,
No, I mean, the entire, where the Little League field was, is almost constantly underwater.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about residents using it, they wouldn't even have a picnic now. Nobody's gonna, nobody goes down.
And if we were able to find a way that this field fits on the upper soccer field or whatever, we could still come back and make drainage improvements here, make it more usable, almost might make the drainage improvements easier if we weren't trying to accommodate the field. The big field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
can we have a conversation with them and see if we can go to a small field, is it as attractive to other leagues? That they would say, you know what, we're gonna pass on Unionville because it's not regulation size.
And I'd love to be part of that conversation, because I also want to have a better understanding of like what extra areas around the perimeter of field, because if you imagine this outline of these rectangles with the white lines and
Yeah.
the boundaries.
Mhm.
You want some room for the spectators, the
Yeah.
rest of the team to stand.
Yeah, to run out of bounds. once
We
in a
should speak with them.
Well, and the last time when we did meet with them and we told them we would have this discussion, with the board and we have a lot of knowledgeable members about this stuff as well. As the town engineer and our highway super and Jake. So, after, what we said to them was after we had this initial discussion and we kind of got a feel from everybody that we would talk to them. They also offered, I think they think visually when they look at that big open field down there that it's gonna work. They just visually, you kind of think, oh, that's so big. But they also offered, they didn't put any dollar amount on it, but they want to help.
Mhm.
They said, we will help you financially, like we, maybe do fundraising, whatever they had a couple of different thoughts about that. So we said, all right, let's get our preliminary ducks in a row so we know, and then we can invite them over to talk. So I think it sounds like now's a good time to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do you want me to at least try and see, like, using aerials and things, if it fits on the other locations? Is that worth looking at?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
worth
think
a
so.
shot.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have to do the.
Is there
drainage.
any other location
Right,
other than
agreed.
those soccer fields that are worth looking
no, nothing that big.
Loretta would be upset if we looked at that question, so.
at? I just had that.
And there's a lot of wetland connected with that too, so.
So we can do that. Is there anything else you want us to do as we're waiting for this
Maybe
meeting?
big enough. And it's wet up there too.
I think it'd be helpful for all of us
Yeah,
to hear their thoughts on whether this minimum meets the needs. And
John's
more
offering-
space around the perimeter they need.
Tom, John is offering the back of the highway, so we do have.
But the top field, that'd be cool to know that they.
Yeah, I can at least look at it.
I mean, lengthwise, I think we have,
Two things.
I think so too.
but I just don't know about,
Fine and a half.
And again, then maybe that we can make that work with a little bit of grading and.
as opposed to,
and-
yeah.
and Move the parking.
Yeah,
That's- I thought a little bit easier.
Maybe we should wait.
yeah,
Maybe we have the conversation with the Gaelic Athletic Association, have them over here and their board members.
They may have additional design information might be helpful to us.
Yeah.
I mean, finding stuff online was a challenge. I still don't really know how they play this game. It looks like a soccer ball.
It's
It looks
pretty
like they're
similar.
handling it.
Every Thursday, they play out there every Thursday.
Okay,
They're down there with the kids and then they have once a month or something as adults. I mean, come by.
and then it seems like a lot of these are connected to a curling
Mhm.
game or field. Or I don't know,
I mean,
match.
I think they use the same field.
So I don't know if that helps you to consider it. It'll be another option. I don't know if there's any people around that do curling, but it seems like.
I
those
mean,
organizations-
they're starting to it. The GAA is starting to.
Yeah, they're big.
So I thought that was interesting. Not that I know how to
There
play.
you go.
Well, they might not recruit you anyway.
Yeah.
So. They say, come join us and we'll teach.
I learned how to play rugby. I can learn how to play.
They're here year round, so,
Yeah.
we wanted, obviously, if they come and approach us, we want to talk to them, and we needed to do something with the field, so. We'll just invite them over. Everybody's, we could have a work session with them.
And if you'd like to share any of these maps, I haven't sent you this newer one, the alternate 4, but I can send it if you want.
Yeah, and I
You
can
want to share that?
forward it to them, so they're prepared when they get here, and then we'll have maybe a better discussion. How's that sound? All right, I'll email that to them when you send that one to me, Tom. All right, we'll set up a date. Maybe, our August 5th is our work session. Maybe our Wednesday, the first Wednesday of August, if you got, everybody's around, we might be, you're not gonna.
Don't forget me.
it's not the fifth, is it?
Oh, it's the second. The first Wednesday is the second. Thanks, Jake.
It's not fun.
So. All right, so we'll set a date whenever it is. I'll get back to everybody. And we'll discuss it. Especially since they're interested in helping.
You want to hang on to it.
Tom, thank you so much. You did a lot here. We appreciate it.
We
Is
gonna
Tom
talk-
sticking around for anything else?
Yeah, is he gonna talk about the bridge?
I
Yeah,
don't-
West Club
I don't
Mountain
know
Bridge,
that,
right?
Ed,
Did
did
you
you
know
want to talk about the West Club Mountain? Did you want to talk about the West Club Mountain Bridge since you and Tom went?
Oh, you guys can figure it out.
that? That over 5.0, 50.
Let her walk.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, that's big. All right, now we'll go to the board reports of the departmental reports. If you guys can pull yours out.
Oh, I sure can.
Got it.
You want to go with recreation? Thank you, Councilman.
Yep. Recreation submitted by Director Maggie Collins. We had a full house for our paint and sip event at the end of April. Participants enjoyed an evening of fun with friends and family and walked away with beautiful works of art. Registration is open online for our next paint and sip event on June 16th.
No, wait a minute, I think you have the wrong one. There's just, here, check, take this.
Feel like, all right.
Slid in there somewhere.
Yes, somehow I got it. All right, summer camp has been in full swing. We've enjoyed working with old and new friends at all three of our camp programs. During session one, campers enjoyed an educational presentation on the animal kingdom hosted by the 2x2 Animal Haven. We thank the whole team for teaching our campers the importance of caring for our environment and how we can care for and protect our animal friends. Session two campers will learn the basics of chemical reactions and get a chance to participate in science experiments with the nutty scientist of the Hudson Valley. Our staff will continue to work hard for families and campers to enjoy another great summer at Time Warner Park. This Saturday, July 22nd, our community night event will take place outside the town hall building. Residents and friends can enjoy a summer evening of tailgating, enjoying food from local food trucks, and the end of the night for the fireworks show. Town departments and committees will be tabling from 5 to 6:30 to answer general questions from the public. The event will start at 5 p.m. and end after the fireworks go off after 9 p.m. August 4th, the pool will host its annual pool membership party. Patrons with a pool membership for this season, for the summer season, can enjoy the pool from 6:00 p.m. to 8 p.m. as well as complimentary snacks and refreshments. Members can register for the event online on the Parks and Rec website.
That's great. I think we should also mention that we talked about closing the pool Labor Day weekend because the balloon festival's here, and last year I think we had 3 or 4 people that came. And it got hard to get back to. A lot of people, I seem to rather go to the balloon festival than go. So just let people know. I'm sure they'll mention it during the pool party and let all the patrons know. Next up is the constable report. Councilman, did you want to do that, Councilman Welsh? Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Constable patrol of approximately 682 miles of town roads, including all properties, filling the Explorer with 42.9 gallons of gasoline. 3 town court dates total 23 cases on the dockets, with 8 actual appearances. The 3 cases were pleaded not guilty by mail. There were no issues to report. Constables reported the following during the reports. On 620, removed down tree on North Clove Road. 620, 3 parking violations issued for parking after dusk at Town Hall. Additional notes, constables have been monitoring noise complaints at 2 town residences nightly on patrol since 6/23. We have responded to 2 specific noise complaints during the month. Annual mandated training has been scheduled for August 12th and 13th. Respectfully submitted, George Treadwell, Constable in charge.
Thank you. All right, animal control report.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Councilman, thank you.
Animal control report for the month of June 2023. During the month of June, there were 2 lost dogs, 1 wildlife call, and 1 complaint. We continue to receive multiple calls each month regarding bears. They have become a part of our environment, and the past few years and sightings continue to increase. We have not had any problems with bears versus people, as long as we respect their right to be here. By removing bird feeders and keeping all garbage indoors until just before pickup, you'll be removing any attractive nuisances that capture their attention. Respectfully, Mary Jean Calvi.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. As far as old business goes, we're going to talk for a minute about the guidelines for short-term residential rentals. So I wanted to mention, we got that feedback that you heard tonight.
Yeah,
Now, in our packet, all the board members, you have the actual, and then at the back of this page is what the operating permit would look like. So our focus on this was to obviously make sure that fire and trash removal are very important, fire safety and trash removal. And we don't want to be a burden, as that man suggested, Mr. Ritter. We definitely do not want to be a burden. So we set up this package as a there's a checklist, a self-inspection checklist that has a lot of criteria that are required, you know, for fire protection. We also have our building department wants a drawing on here, so we can always see it in the file if he has to go there. The entrances and the egresses and how people are coming and going. And but on the back, I think the important part, because we got a complaint from a nice woman over in Burbank who was concerned that we were going to have people hang this in the window, which she did not want, which, you know, George was not interested in that. The registry that we set up, so everybody that operates either through Airbnb or whomever, the registry we set up, we're going to give, number one, give the fire department that same list, so that they'll know right away that it may not be the homeowner that's in that house, so they might be less familiar with how the house operates. So some of the questions on here are important. And then also our building department will have it. And by having this, it means that if there is a complaint or there is a problem, he can go right up to the property and do an inspection. Now, one of the things that we put on the back, it didn't print so red, but in red on the bottom of the short-term rental operating permit, it says property owners are responsible for giving renters information about all town code requirements, including but not limited to fire safety, trash removal, noise levels, and other nuisances. Property owners who do not ensure compliance by their renters are at risk of losing their short-term rental operating permit. And then the code enforcement office must be notified immediately if there are any changes to any information contained on this form. So with this form, after they perform this checklist, and they have to come and they'll have it notarized by the town clerk's office, and they'll sign off on it, that all these things are indeed accurate. Then with the permit that they get from the building department, you know, they are asserting trash removal. They are talking, the one thing that I think that we talked about was parking spaces. You can't, in a development where there's home after home after home, you can't have 20 cars from one rental unit out in front. So George Kolb, our code enforcement officer, is kind of going to be the arbiter on the number of parking permit on the spaces, because if you have a long driveway, it won't matter. You can, you can pretty much fit as many on there. So we didn't stipulate how many per bedroom. We didn't stipulate how many per house, because we have such varying conditions in the town. So basically, George is going to look at every permit. He's going to look at it on parcel access and say, well, they're on Cunningham Drive, or they're on this drive, or that they have neighbors right next door. They'll probably have two spaces. You know, he'll be able to do that by looking at the map. But I think it's important that the main thing we wanted to get across to the homeowner was, you can rent it out. We hope you make additional rental income. We hope you do well. We hope everything is smooth. But you are responsible for making sure that they know the rules. And there is a big town code. And as we were talking earlier today, that most times you go into a rental place, they have a notebook and they have rules there. That could be near the front door, and people will know, you know, like they could flag the noise ordinance or whatever other ordinances that they need to follow. And so renters, people that come in, will have that. And then once a year, we will, the permit will be an annual one, because that goes in with the system better.
yeah,
Or we talked about every 2 years, but the way the system that we use, everything tends to be annual.
yeah.
So we left it as an annual permit.
Mhm.
And if people like it, there aren't that many. Listen, there are, to our knowledge right now, there are 12 of these in town. So it's not going to be a big burden to write everybody a letter and say your permit's due in 30 days. Please come and sign up again. I think that'll be fine. But this does us some good, because we'll have a registry that we can point to when the state tries to impose one on us. We can say, no, we're good.
Yeah, it's covered.
Yeah. And the other thing that we wanted to point out about this registry is that the things on here, as Jeff Battistoni, our attorney, and I were talking today, it's kind of like our master fee schedule. This is not part of the local law. The local law is separate. This is something that we can adjust every year. I mean, it's part of the package, but the language of this was not included in the local law. So basically, if we say, take that line out, put this better line in, you know, you have some good suggestions about how they can be a pain in the neck, and you want certain things stricter, we can add that anywhere on here. The town board votes on it, becomes the new permit.
Right away.
Yeah, so we have the flexibility with this to adjust as we go. So that's a positive as we learn more from it. So anything about that you might want to add, or you're not uncomfortable with that?
Sounds great.
Do you want to take a look at this?
Well, from what, sure.
Your input is always helpful, people.
I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully that this, along by having a registry. That just makes it much easier, especially for the renters, you know, the homeowners, because then they have an idea of what's expected of them to be good community, you know, citizens.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then, you know, we did have an incident 6-9 months ago, and we were scrambling to find out if the people that had littered this large amount of litter, if they had come from a rental house. We really didn't know. So this will help if we have an issue, so. But if you look at this and you have comments, we got 3 great comments that we included in changes here. So if you have any to add, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Okay, next up, security system upgrades. I wanted to, we'll talk, we did make some good progress this week. We had an extensive meeting with another company.
Good.
So that we wanted to have multiple quotes
Yes,
and
yeah,
things if
sure.
it's possible without having to redo a bunch of hardware. We had a great review, and this gentleman reviewed town hall, parks and rec down there, and then he went over to highway. And we're gonna get a whole report back, and we'll have some more to discuss. This issue is still moving forward on security upgrades
Okay.
that we have in the budget this year, that we all want to do this year. We're just trying to move it along. Community night, we do have 13 to 14 town tables, and most of the tables we came up with were ones in which people wanted to ask a lot of questions. You know, people always have questions of the assessor. The planning and zoning is big. Parks and Rec, they get a chance to advertise their programs. So most of them are very good, but we have the Conservation Advisory Council, the library trustees, Unionville seniors. Now we're up to 16 members since the town took, right, Andrew, that the town took this over, and we're helping them plan. They have just proliferated. I think they were crumbling under all that planning.
Now they're flourishing.
But they're going to be there as well. They're very excited. The new historical society, the lineup with the new officers, they're coming. So the Republican by the Democratic Party, everybody, it's like our big, and the, you know who's not on here? The Duchess, the GAA is coming. The Gaelic, they're going to be right in the row with us. They asked if they could come, and so we didn't say no. They're coming, and they should be on here. So we're going to have a full house of people that love coming to Time War, which is great. And I think that we can probably get a lot of conversation going. It's the first time we've ever done this, so we hope that people come. So 5 to 6:30, and then we'll all be around to enjoy the rest of the evening. The other thing is the Burbank Rural Cemetery Association had requested funds, and we had a discussion about that. We decided that we write them back. I did hear from, we wrote them back. Let me just explain it fully. Sorry. We wrote them back and said that the town might be in a position to give funds at some time, but the normal procedure is that usually the cemetery would sit down with the town and share a 5-year plan. Like, what are you doing to mitigate some of the situations that you're in?
Give us their financial statements.
Yeah, and seriously talk about
Yeah.
what could the town do to help, as opposed to, just.
And consider merging with another
Yeah.
cemetery.
I know up in Albany, I talked to the Division of Cemeteries. They don't really encourage towns to just write out checks. You want to make the thing work. So our letter that we responded to went to all the trustees, and they have 8 now. So including Lizette. So there's Lizette, there were 2 of them. They were down to 2, and they got 6 more.
Wonderful.
Which some of them, really, they're varying in ages, so they'll be around for a while.
Good.
And so we wrote our letter at the request of this board, which was, as you guys remember, it was, let's let them get their arms around the situation, let them get used to it. And when they're ready to talk, they can come and we'll set up a meeting. I talked to one trustee. He said he'd gotten the package. He said they're having another meeting in August. That'll probably be on the agenda, and they're so new at it. They probably will be in touch down the road, but
Mhm.
they were happy to know we were here. They were ready. So we know that connected. Escrow fee schedule. Okay, we've had this here for a couple months. We need to fix that because of the town center zone. We've changed that town center zone to the point where it's 50% green.
Right, yeah,
We got rid of all those big suburban things and we've got it now in a way where it's gonna be small and rural-like and hamlet-like, which we're very excited about, but we do have to update the escrow. Now, I didn't finish discussing this with George, because as you guys, we was out a little bit last week.
right.
What our escrow fee schedule says is that we have multifamily, residential, and we don't have 20 units anymore. To us, our new definition of multifamily is an apartment. We have a maximum of 12 units permissible, period. Then we permit townhouses, single family, and two family. That's what we permit in there. So George and I were talking, but we didn't finish with getting his opinion on this. So he and I are going to continue to talk before the next board meeting. I gave you guys a bunch of, there like 5 other towns.
Mhm.
So we have all of those. George is asking us to consider, he goes, could he work on it a little bit more and be specific, but he thinks we should base it on the number of lots and the square footage.
Okay.
So
makes
it'll
sense.
change based on, the fee should be consistent with that, which he thinks,
Logic.
which is
Yeah.
logical. So I said, all right,
Fair.
let's talk specifics so the town board has something to react to. So we're getting there.
Mhm.
Okay, that should be ready by the next month. And if
Okay.
you guys do your homework on that too, you have in your package from, I think, last month, there were like 5 other towns.
Yeah,
And if you misplace them, I got them. I can send them to you. But take a look at those and then we'll get this done. Okay. All right. The next thing is, and George is keen to get it done soon too. So the new defibrillators. So we need 3. We need we weren't sure of the count, but our defibrillators are outdated. The pads are outdated. We have a wonderful nurse that works for Cardiac Plus who's been in touch with us. And the service we would get from them. First of all, the defibrillators, most of the defibrillators she gives towns are not the high-end kind you get in an ambulance. She said
but you don't
typically,
need it.
yeah, the ambulance is on the way. You don't need to buy an ambulance quality defibrillator. You need
Yeah.
something to save a life. As Kevin, you mentioned that in the work session.
Yeah, most of them talk to you now, so you should be trained on how to deploy them, but a lot of them tell you
Yeah.
what to do as you're doing
Yeah,
it.
great.
So,
We tried the one down the hall. It's outdated. You're not supposed to use it anymore, but it still talks. I mean, it's an interesting, so that feature
Mhm.
works. It tells you, first rip the pad open of the package, put it here. But anyway, so they were not $2,400. They were like, she's got the 2 that she's recommending us are $1,300. And then
Oh,
they also offer the ability to they will call us 3 months before the annual renewal so that we can schedule a test
Mhm.
and we can make sure we have the right pads because the pads apparently outdate every 2
Yeah,
years.
they have an expiration date.
Yeah.
Anything medical does.
Yeah, she said there was one company that had 4-year. And that might work for us because we've never used a defibrillator and
Yeah.
we needed 1 year, but she said she'll run them by us. So anyway, we need 3. So if they're 1,300, they're better than 2,300 a piece, but we
Yes,
we have
it's
1
great.
here, 1 in recreation, and we have 1 at the pool.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I can save a life, it's small,
Yeah.
small. fee,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Sure is.
So I mean, how do you want to approach this? Because she's got every company imaginable. She culled through it. She recommended the ones that she uses for municipalities because of the price and also the fact that they're used infrequently. We can look at I can send you all the specs.
I think we should rely on her expertise. I mean,
As a nurse.
yeah, and.
And
experience.
so once we figured out that you might be going that way, if that's the way everybody likes one, then we'll run it by the Medical Reserve Corps of the county. And get their opinion because they
Yeah, they're very knowledgeable.
they're very knowledgeable. They do this and they're all nurses
Yeah.
but the ones that she sent, I'm gonna forward you all that email. There's a lot of,
Yeah, I'll get bids and see if something.
Yeah.
similar,
they've got Phillips, they've got
prices.
so many companies, yeah. So I liked her narrowing it down because it saved us a lot of work. And
Yeah,
she
that's
said out of
good,
all that,
Yeah, Market
manufacturers.
intelligence, yeah.
Well, yeah, and the Washington municipality overpaid was her point. She
Right,
goes, don't
yeah,
go to
it's like-
$2,400.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good thing on her part. All right, so I will get that to the Medical Reserve Corps, share it with you guys all of once she had, and then we'll get that done. We could do that at the work session. We can get that done pretty soon. All right, next up. We have dog control housing contract with Mutt Mansions.
Mhm.
Basically, I spoke with Mary Jean Calvi, our animal control officer, our town clerk, Andrea Casey, and I went to visit them. This is a terrific, the other company we were dealing with in Poughkeepsie really raised their rates high. And they've become really stricter than we felt comfortable with. And so our animal control officer found this company and they were fabulous. We went to visit them. They're very much animal lovers. They have a different way of operating, whereas Mary Jean will actually have a key. So if she wants to go at 3 a.m. because something, there was a poor animal that she needs to bring over there, she'll have a key and be able to put them in. She just lets them know. So they're very much hands-on and good partners for municipality. So basically, the contract is very similar to the other one. The rates are down to the lower amount that we had the other one before they spiked them.
Yep.
And what we discussed today, the owner and I discussed that she said where there's a term of agreement that says it starts January 1 and ends till December 31. We can strike through it. And she said we can just leave the agreement in perpetuity until something changes. You
Okay.
both have the ability to get out, within, I think it's 30
Right.
days, but
Okay.
barring that. So I was thinking, then we don't have to sign contracts regularly, but if
Yeah.
they want to raise their rates, they'll have to send us a new. So
Okay,
we'll approve it. Otherwise, we'll be at these really low. Mary Jean thought that the rates were very reasonable. The woman is fantastic. Her team is great. And you liked it too, didn't you, Andrea?
Oh my gosh, the access is so much better than SPCA and the other places we've
Yeah,
used.
it's closer.
For
And they're nice
homeowners,
people.
yeah, and Mary.
Very nice people.
they know, they like animals.
Yeah, so we were very pleased.
It's not about the money thing.
Right, no, it was not about the money. No, you're right about that. So, and she lives 2 miles from this whole spread, so, and she runs a thrift shop right down in Wappingers Falls. That's also right down the road. Where was that thrift shop? Do you remember the?
It was on 376. I can't remember the name.
That little shopping
Sutherland Plaza,
Yeah.
across from Sutherland.
Yes.
So they operate a thrift shop, which everybody's apparently is really popular. That helps them run this to keep their rates down. So this Mutt Mansion it's kind of a good find for us, and I think Mary Jean was
Yeah,
thrilled.
well, for pets there, too.
Yes,
Adoption opportunities.
yeah, they have adoption opportunities and
Mhm.
a lot of pet related stuff in that thrift shop too.
Mhm.
So anyway, Mary Jean is pleased. She scrutinized the contract. Our attorney has looked at the contract. I've read the contract. What I'd like to do is make a motion tonight that that the town supervisor is allowed to sign the contract. We'll leave it running in force until something changes and then they'll have to renew with us.
Mhm.
All right, I'd like to make that
Uh-huh.
motion.
You making a
Why
motion?
don't you make?
All right, I'll make the motion that we sign this contract with Mutt Mansions. As it's written.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? No discussion. Okay, all in favor of letting the supervisor sign the contract so it can become effective immediately?
Aye.
You say aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, this carries and that will be good. We will be a good home for people that need it or dogs that need it. Okay, next up is the resolution of adoption for short-term rental units in Unionville. So
What
what
about the noise issues?
is that on here?
Yeah.
12.3.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to skip it, I don't care.
No, what I'm gonna say is there, a couple of things have come up with regard to noise issues. We have 2 in the town that were already discussed in the constable's report. But something has come up with that we need to go into executive session to talk about.
Okay,
So because of the security related, so I thought that I was gonna add the executive session onto the end of the meeting. It won't be long. And I was gonna ask our attorney, Jeff Batista, if he wouldn't mind staying for a couple of minutes for that. Because it gets into an area of policing and that sort of thing that would be better in executive session if you don't mind. So let's skip 12.3 and go to resolutions of motion.
sure.
Okay, so the resolution of adoption for the short-term rentals, everybody has a copy of it. Today, but Andrea filed, she helped us out today. She got the 239 submitted to the county, which we're required to do
Oh,
because
good.
it's a zoning change.
Yeah.
So you have the resolution as it stands. We have the package even so we know what we're actually, what's going to be part of it, but we will actually vote on it in August. We'll wait to hear back from the county. So,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah.
So you have it, but you needed that resolution and you got
Yes.
the resolution. And then the last point of business that we have is this resolution regarding Tom St. Ange. Would a councilman like to read that?
I'll read it.
Okay,
Okay, resolution number 30-2023, Tom St. Ange. Whereas Tom St. Ange has been employed by the town of Unionville for over 21 years, and whereas in August of 2023, Tom St. Ange will undergo medical treatment that will require a significant recovery time where only light duty will be permitted, and whereas the town has accrued
Tom.
44 days of time off, sick time, and vacation time, which will carry him until October 5th, 2023. Whereas in recognition of Tom St. Ange's extensive and dedicated service to the town of Unionville, when Tom is in recovery, he will be able to work from home until December 31st, 2023, completing a list of computer-related tasks that will enable the Parks Department to start a maintenance, instruction, and history log of tasks that have never been committed to writing but are deeply needed. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville agrees that Tom St. Ange's employment status and salary level will stay the same during this work from home period.
All right, thank you for offering that resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilman Welsh,
Aye.
Councilman Derland,
Aye.
Councilman McGivney,
Aye.
Councilman Gussakoff.
Aye.
Supervisor Moss.
Aye.
Yeah.
Like that
guys,
resolution carries.
I hope everything goes well for him.
Yeah, I think that's a nice thing.
Yeah. And I think,
Very dedicated guy.
and I know that his, the manager of the Parks Department gave him a list of like 15 things that he's gonna be doing. He's gonna be quite busy. But all of those things are gonna be very valuable to us. So thank you, gentlemen. I think that's a great thing. All right, are there any, before, let's approve the budget, that we pay the bills. We don't have
So
any
moved.
adjustments. Okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pay the bills, we will. That motion carries. Any public comments on town issues? No town issues? Anybody like to talk about? Okay. Then we have a motion to adjourn.
No, motion to go into executive session.
We have a motion to go into executive session and talk about this issue.
You do need to specify a reason for going into executive session.
Security. It's more of a policing security issue.
Okay, so one reason is to discuss an investigation or prosecution of a criminal offense. That's something that might,
That would be under that category.
okay, so
Thank
that
you.
would be the basis for your motion.
And we're not going to be taking any action, just so, I mean, this is a discussion. So that will help put some people at ease. All right, we have the second, all in favor of going to executive session?
Aye.
Aye, and the pay opposed, no, okay, motion carries. So thank you very much, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye, take care. All right, let's give everybody a couple minutes and then we'll talk through this issue. Andrea, yeah, it's not urgent, I can tell you about it tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Jacob,
Good night.
thanks, Jake.